Hello, and thank you for joining me. With some leftover resin that I tinted with Midnight Blue from Mrs. Colorberry, I made these two coasters. It's now dry. I'm going to try something I saw on Nadia's channel from Liadia Designs. I put the link in the description box. She makes some absolutely gorgeous stuff. I love her channel and encourage you to check her out. Give her a little hello from Dorian. Her tutorials are super well done, but you need her dexterity, and there for me it is not one. I will see what I can do. I had the idea to use masking tape from my scrapbooking days. So this one I use is holographic. Right now it's a little too wide, so I'm going to cut it in half. It's a centimeter and a half, so I'm cutting it to 7.5 millimeters. I'll take my cutting mat. So it's pretty slippery, but I'll get it done. Nadia makes coasters with a lot of things, so I noted a lot of things inspired by her. I didn't think it would necessarily go with the resin, but so of course it made me want to try it. I am also going to use this glittery pink masking tape. Since I have quite a few masking tapes sitting in my drawers, I'm going to use what I have before I order something else, even though I see some that I'm really tempted by. This one is giving me a hard time. I'm going to speed it up a bit. Here it is. Same thing, I'm cutting it in half. I'm going to make a mix between the two. Then I'm going to try something else, something that's been growing in my brain. We'll see if it works. So here what I want to do is put the holographic here and then the pink one underneath and then the second holographic like this. I'll show you a close-up of what I want it to look like. I'm going to clean my surface a little bit because I left some fingerprints. This paper scratches my surface a bit. Well, no matter. I take my precision cutter. The diameter is 10 centimeters. I put a small line at 5 centimeters to spot and arrange my first masking tape. Little work of patience to remove the protective part. Now I try to adjust it as well as possible. Then this is the tricky part. You see that I have some excess. So I'm going to cut the pieces of the end without cutting the mold. That's why it's important to have a super sharp blade, preferably a new one. And then the same thing on the other side. Now I'm going to put one of the holographic tapes on. Fortunately, it comes off well. It takes the marks well, that one. And same thing, I'm going to cut the ends. Fortunately or unfortunately, it's quite thin. So it cuts easily, but it's still a pretty delicate job. Especially since I don't want to move my coaster too far away from the mold so that the next layer of resin doesn't flow underneath. And then I'll put the other one. This masking tape is really thin. I'm not happy with the way it looks. There are creases and bubbles that I don't like. Also, it really doesn't stick hard, which is awkward because, as you can understand, I'm going to add resin over it and I don't want the resin sink underneath and lift it up. So I'm going to cut another one and position it. I cut this part out. Well, that's it. The result is quite pleasant. Don't mind the marks on my coasters. Next, I want to add some relief outline along the masking tape. Perilous operation. Nadia does this with facility, but me, it's something else. It's an extremely complicated manipulation for me. Well, I try my best, but it's really not easy to draw regular lines without blobs. I still don't have the right hand on the right hand to get a perfect result. So that's how you learn. I really need to improve my technique. I followed Nadia's advice. I opened the tube well so that the product goes through the nose correctly, but nothing to do. It is not smooth. Well, no matter. Let's say it's okay. see that it is not really smooth and straight. Well, I leave it like that. So, for the other one, I'm going to use a punch that you can see here that gives this kind of cut. I'm going to use an acetate sheet, and so I'm going to align strips of masking tapes. I choose the pink glitter on a width sufficient to do what I want. I'm going to line them up carefully, maybe even overlap them slightly. I'll see you in a bit. And now all I have to do is slide this into my punch, making sure the punch covers the tape, and press very, very hard. And when I say hard, I can assure you it's hard. Well, as you can see, it's really, really hard. I don't feel like it's going to cut. It leaves some marks, but it doesn't cut. On one side or the other, it doesn't want to cut. Whether I try one way or the other, it doesn't work. And yet, I assure you that I press with all my strength, but no, nothing to do. I think my acetate sheet is too thick. I tried again and again, and then I cut the video. Well, I cut the video and tried a few things. This punches got stuck. I had a really hard time getting it to come out. I could only get this little piece out. I tried with my big shot and a die. That didn't work either. It just left some marks. I think that my plastic sheet is too thick. I took another punch from Artémio and I cut, and there, miracle, it cut without problem. So, we're going to go with the butterflies. I spared you all that because I kept twirling around to find a solution, and it wasn't very interesting. Now I'm going to glue them on with Liquitex gloss varnish. There are some marks caused by my big shot, but it makes little effects on the wings that are fun. So I'm going to apply my varnish with a little brush on the back of the butterflies. It will serve as a glue, I hope. It was to adhere well to the resin so it doesn't float. I cross my fingers that it works. I remove the small traces with the cotton tip and alcohol. The varnish has spilled over. As always, when I do tutorials with you without having tried it before, well, I learn what to do and what not to do. I learn quite a bit from making this video. I think of another way to do the cutting. I'll figure it out. I'm going to have to put something heavy on to get the shapes on the resin right, because it doesn't really stick well. So, of course, you can use stickers, temporary tattoos, etc. But here you can really customize your shapes, and I think that's really cool. And that's why I wanted to do this. It's a bit of a headache, but that's okay. It's a part of charm. I let it dry all night. It's not too bad. I have some marks on my resin because I ended up putting glue on it because it was lifting too much. It wouldn't stick. So now I'm just going to pour a layer of clear resin. Hopefully it will go on well and nothing will come off. I am a little low on resin, you will see, but I have some leftover because I have two little things waiting. Well, they'll wait a little longer. I just put on a little layer, not something too thick. I track down the bubbles, a little heat gun, remove some little glitter floating on the surface, an alcohol spray, and set to dry. In any case, it looks very nice. Let's go to the demolding part in a second. Well, it dried well. So on this one, I don't have any problem. But on my butterflies, I have some horrible bubbles that came up during the night. And so I'm going to try to remove them with a good sanding. I'll go and meet you afterwards. I'll show you the disaster. You see that hole? It's huge. I was able to smooth out the others a little bit, but I have some holes that are really deep. This one goes almost all the way down. The air must have come up from under the butterfly wings, but I have really, really deep holes. I've never had that before. I'm going to put an extra layer of resin and we'll see. Cross my finger. Well, here are my butterflies with another layer of resin. Well, it's better, but I still have little bubbles. Otherwise, the effect is very nice. I'll try to do it again, taking into account everything that happened in this test. I added some white ignition dust glitters from Just For You online. I like the effect. As for the other one, which I'll try to take out without putting my camera that I didn't put on its tripod, not easy with only one hand and the left hand, and I am right hand. It's really not easy, but I'll get there. Okay, now there it wants to come out. Well, yes, this one is fine. I have a little trace at the bottom. I don't know what it is, but for a first try, I'm happy. And it opens up a whole bunch of possibilities. I think you really need to use masking tape, maybe not too thin. Otherwise, it causes problems. And if you want to glue something, you just use PVA glue. But anyway, I really like the effects. This masking tape holographic is really nice. So, that's it for this test video. I hope you liked it. Leave me a comment to tell me what you think. So if you're still there, I thank you for watching and I'll see you soon.